Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks event for investors and startups. My name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. VC Task Force is an organization where the venture community comes together to address critical issues, provide workshops and other events for the benefit of the venture and entrepreneurial communities. VC Task Force provides access to an extensive ecosystem of VCs, CVCs, and angel investors. You may ask questions at any time during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup, Yva.ai, as well as the investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest Puneet Badrinath, CEO of Fabrik. Puneet is an entrepreneur, product evangelist, and founder of Fabrik, a smart assistant for core engineering sectors, closing the gap between humans and machines. Puneet has a strong entrepreneurial background and has worked with startups and large companies in both B2B and B2C segments. He works on tech-driven products that scale quickly and directly translate to the bottom line of businesses in B2B or creates repeat customers for B2C. Fabrik rethinks PDFs into AR/VR experience. They help business transition into an interactive living knowledge base from the current static document-based format. Take it away, Gary.
Great, thanks, Joel. Really appreciate it. Thanks, June. And it's great to be here again. As Joel said, my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 startups and 2 unicorns. Love artificial intelligence and quantum computing, and it's great to be here. I'm the CEO, co-founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Palo Alto. So with that, Puneet, I have a question for you. How did you get a certificate in astronomy and astrophysics?
That's an excellent question. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show, Gary, and thank you so much, John. That was like a different life. I was in school and I was digging around for things to do that's different from the regular day to day, and I stumbled upon this 100-hour certification course in the city, and like 15 minutes from where I lived. But I'm like, wow, this is going to happen. And I ended up meeting the professor, and the professor said, why don't you give it a whirl? And I ended up taking a certificate there. It was really amazing. The one thing I realized is it is crazy amount of math, and I was just not cut out for it. So I didn't pursue that further, but that was a fascinating course.
And so were you interested in life on other planets, or what made you decide to, what was the thing that said, I want to go down through and I want to understand astrophysics because I want to be Stephen Hawking?
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that, because all of us have dreams, right? As kids, the first thing I want to be is an astronaut. Second thing I want to be is a scientist, a doctor, a sports person, what have you, right? So yeah, that was one of my childhood urges that I wanted to complete. So I ended up exploring the space because I never explored it prior to that, right? So I figured, let me give it a shot. Let's see where it takes me. Maybe I'll get to peer into a telescope and find a faraway planet, maybe discover a radio signal from an alien species. It's just a curiosity, honestly.
Yeah, see, most people don't realize I have a couple astronaut friends, and there's 6 billion Earth-like planets in the Milky Way galaxy, an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in the universe. And there have been signals like the WOW signal in 1977, right? So it's not that it's interesting. So you look at it with these Earth-like planets, just the Milky Way, what's out there. My friends that travel and are astronauts and cosmonauts, what they tell me is that they look down at the planet Earth and they understand how really small we are compared to the rest of the universe, right? which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a tiny, tiny speck of dust. He said, when you look at galaxies, he said, a galaxy looks very tiny when you're in space, but that's as big as the Milky Way or bigger. So it's incredible. Okay,
Yeah.
so going through that, so I got another question for you. Okay, so Visvaraya Technology
Right.
University, where is that? Is that in Bangalore?
It's about a 10-hour drive from Bangalore. That's a university that's there are a lot of colleges in and around Bangalore are affiliated to. Yeah, yeah. So it's a few hours away. I've been there once, but yeah.
So if you look at it, so you went through that and then you go to
Mhm.
Rutgers.
Yes.
How was it?
Oh man, it was a different world. It's actually a very interesting experience. So it's on the other side of the planet. Uh, 12 hours of time difference. This is the first time I'm going to school outside of India. I landed Rutgers and I find a, a very diverse set of people from all over the planet. Right? It's overwhelming to begin with because you get you're doing your master's program, you get to meet people from all over the world, different backgrounds. It's fascinating. It's amazing, and I consider myself really lucky to have been a part of the program. And I go through, settle down, go through school, do my complete the program. And as I complete the program, I realize that, despite the cultural difference, the time difference, most people there from wherever they've come from, they're more or less the same. It's actually, paradox where you're trying to compare the differences and the similarities. The similarities are so many. The differences are very few. So that kind of happened because I wanted to experience a master's program first of all.
Puneet, I'm going to say
Yeah,
one thing though.
yeah, go ahead.
There are some differences, and let me tell you one of them. Chicken vindaloo with really hot sauce on it is a real big difference for people that are from the middle of Pennsylvania that eat real bland food. You know what I mean? The
I
food,
know.
a lot of this Indian food is incredibly good. Tikka masala, naan, garlic naan. I'm salivating thinking about it because it's incredible. So you have to. So when you went to Rutgers, I have a question. Did you go to Indian restaurants, or did you cook in your place Indian food, or did you have subs and did you move over to American cooking in the dorm? How was it?
Yeah, I essentially moved to subs. I stuck with subs, American food, a lot of burgers and fries, a lot of junk food that you eat when you're in school, sleeping at odd hours, sleeping at 6 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 2 in the afternoon, living the college life. And just very similar to you having been from Pennsylvania is I cannot tolerate spicy food either. I have a very poor tolerance to spice. So I can completely understand. But yeah, and hence American food is something that I could
Yeah, because it's not that spicy for the most
yes.
part, unless you're from Texas. You know, I remember going down to Texas one time and said, "Come on over here, and we got some peppers. If you want to try them out." I said, "I love spicy food because I've been eating hot tikka masala and all that." Man, they gave me some of these ghost peppers.
Oh, wow.
Burn a hole in your tongue. You know? I loved it though. It's interesting. So what happened when you came over? What was the greatest thing, coming over from India? If you look at three differences in the culture, what were the three differences you say, this is a lot different than being in India? What were those three differences?
I think specifically in the US, I think this is very much related to the US. It's just the size. Like everything's massive. And I'm talking about the East Coast. I'm sure Texas or the West Coast is much, much bigger in everything that they do, right? So the university town is massive. The university programs are different. It's all really, really big. When I go to a Walmart, I don't buy like a loaf of bread. I buy like a something that lasts me for a month, right? Which does not happen here. And of course, I'm from a big city in India, and so I just go walk down the street for have a store, then 20 seconds from where I stay, I just go pick up something. So that's something that was really different that I had to get used to compared to life in India. The second is the weather is really different, and of course, I knew going in that winters would be cold. I personally have never seen snow.
How was that, Puneet? When you saw, first of all, when I talk to my friends in Florida or California that have not seen snow, like from LA, they're like, and they love it to begin with for about a week.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
it goes from, the holiday season to this sucks, right?
That was exactly my thought as well. I'm like, wow, it's snowing. And 2 weeks later, it's still snowing. And do I have to shovel all the snow off the street? And I have to wear so many pairs of clothing before I even step out to just get, I don't know, a quart of milk. Right? It's yeah. So yeah,
and then the drivers in New Jersey on the snow, like he's like on the ice, and snow is something else. And then you have the salt down on the
yeah,
ground.
exactly.
The car gets like black with black snow, right?
Exactly. And yeah, that was crazy. I love snow in when just before Christmas, and I'd hate it by the time New Year passes. Then I'm waiting for the next 4 months just so the temperatures will rise up. Yeah, so snow was something that was really different for me. The third one was the program itself. So I essentially transitioned from something that was really regimented when it comes to the undergrad program. I know it's somewhat different in the US, where you still have a lot of options to pick and choose. I came from an engineering program, so it was really regimented. Everything's pretty streamlined. To a master's program where it's open for you to pick and choose what you want, whichever programs you want. And that was a really different experience, because now I had to choose a program that would help me graduate with a specific set of skills. So that was really different. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Both of these experiences were phenomenal as well.
That's interesting. And so you went down through. Did you get a chance to travel much? Did you go to the beach in New Jersey in the summertime? Did you get a chance to enjoy the beaches and things?
Oh no, unfortunately, I didn't go to Jersey Shore, but Jersey Shore was
Everybody goes to the Jersey Shore. You know what I mean? In Pennsylvania, where I grew up in a small village, the whole dream of people were 2 weeks in the summer. Let's go to the Jersey Shore.
Jersey
Let's
Shore.
go to Stone Island or Stone Harbor. Let's go down through in Ocean City, Atlantic City.
Nice.
It was a big thing. And it was starting when I remember my parents would start in November when it was getting cold and start talking about going to Jersey. And we'd just been there in August. It's like, so, can't wait till we go back to the Jersey Shore. Want to be nice laying on the beach. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah.
I did travel to Atlantic City a couple of times. I did travel a bit, not substantially though. I did travel to some extent in the tri-state area, and I spent a few months in the valley. That was later, but I've still not traveled the US per se. I've not done enough justice traveling around India, so that's something that I want to do. Travel at some point in time across country, multiple countries.
No, it sounds great. And, Bangalore is like the hub of technology in India, right? I mean, it's really started as like an outsourcing capital of the world. And so how was it coming back to Bangalore? Did it take a while to adjust, or was it just, since you were going back home, was it normal? How was that?
So home was the same, but I had changed. After staying away from home, you see things with a different lens. So home was the same, but I had changed in more ways than I could have imagined. So that was a surprise even for me, because I've been here all my life and I was away for a couple of years, but that's a long time. Yeah, so coming back, you're right. When I moved back to Bangalore, there was substantial amount of business process outsourcing that was happening. But what that also created is experience and capabilities within teams here to start building products, building sophisticated deep tech solutions out of the ecosystems. The guys who would work in the outsourcing industry would eventually move out and say, look, let me start something. And so over time, from outsourcing, it actually, the talent pool is built to, build really great, spectacular technology driven startup companies. So that was slowly happening as I moved back. It was interesting times.
What about, so let's talk about Fabrik. I know you've done App and Fold. You got it acquired by
Yeah.
User IQ.
Yes, so User IQ did acquire App and Fold. It was a couple of months just before I walked out of App and Fold. The conversations were happening. I just walked out of App and Fold and started Fabrik, but I knew this was headed in that direction. App and Fold was one of those really interesting technologies as well, where you're talking about helping people use products, right? We all think of uh, we all take apps for granted. We all assume that mobile apps are built using material design or Apple's design language, but that's not the case for most people. And we come from this privileged, privilege is not the right word, but we come from this point where we take technology for granted. That's not the case for a lot of people who need guides, and that's where Apple 4 kind of plugged the gap and said, this is what you need to use this app for, and this is how you execute it. So that's where App and Fold kind of, was born. Um, uh, yeah, that point in time. Yeah.
That's great. And so you've done 4 startups, right? And
Yeah.
2 times you were a founder.
Yeah.
So how did you, in terms of Fabrik, what made you decide to form Fabrik? And let's talk about Fabrik and some of the things you're working on today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I moved out of App and Fold. Interestingly, just a week before Christmas, and I had an opportunity to join a product role just after New Year's. So I had this 1 week where I was trying to figure out, should I jump back into a startup or just take up a job with a stable paycheck? Because by then I was in the startup ecosystem for way too long, and stable paycheck was something was critical. So on the day of joining, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't go through this. I can't go and join a company and as a job.
And that was the day of joining the company?
Day of joining the company. So I call up the.
Oh, so before you went into the office?
No, it was. I was supposed to be there by 9 o'clock. I called them at 8 o'clock and I'm saying, I can't do this, right? And they were not happy. They did understand considering where I'm coming from, but the product head who I was supposed to report into said, Puneet, if you'd given me a few days of notice, that would have helped. Or at least he was so nice. He said, why don't you just work with us and you work on your product? And over the next 9 to 12 months, it would be at a stage where, you can run with it full time. Right. And I said, look, I just can't. I can't explain it to you, but I can't. And then
was it because, Puneet, you do want to be tied down into an office?
Yes and no. It's not even an office. It's the I don't know. I think it's the freedom, for lack of a better word, to make choices. I know all entrepreneurs say this, but I just can't explain it. It's probably the desire to do something different, take the less trodden path, try to make a change.
Well, and you control your
all
destiny,
the cliches.
right?
Exactly.
You control the destiny. So if you screw up, it's your fault. If you win, it's your fault. It's your opportunity, right?
Correct.
So sometimes
True that.
entrepreneurs have a real tough time going back, although corporations love having entrepreneurs on one
Correct.
side because they bring new breath into the group. But I mean, I know when, from my standpoint, whenever I build a company, once we start having meetings to have meetings about
Right.
meetings, it's time to go.
Right.
Whether that's after Series B or whatever, because the fun goes out of it and politics
Correct.
start, right? I don't
Correct. Correct.
know
Correct.
what's going
Correct.
on with product management.
Right.
We're not doing this. The timelines are this. And it's like something's wrong. You know what I mean? It's time for
Correct.
somebody that likes to be in those environments to come in.
Correct. Correct. Did you know what the guy told me over the phone? Did you read his email? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
funny. You're right.
exactly. Can you believe it? I didn't understand. How would he or she know that? They don't know what they're talking about. This is the way we should do it. Let's lobby the head, the director, and see what we can. It's like, forget about it. No, I
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Fabrik and where you are with it today, and where the company is, and what are your goals for it?
Yeah, yeah. So Fabric was one hell of a ride. So we've been at it for 4 years now, close to 4 years, and we've like 2 weeks ago, until 2 weeks ago, I could tell you I would struggle to explain what Fabric does to any layperson, any person who's not from a technology, tech savvy person. Today it's really easy. I just say Fabric is a no-code tool to build the metaverse, right? And people get it. People get, oh wow, that's the expression that I get every single time. So it's gotten us about 3.5 to 4 years to get here, to get to a point where we have the tech, we have the IP, we have customers, we have the kind of the product roadmap that is set for us to kind of build out this tool that builds the metaverse, right? So yeah, so that's where Fabric is, and we were fortunate enough to close a seed round a couple of months ago, and we're at this point where we're trying to scale and identify customers across sector and probably go outside of India as well. Yeah.
And that's great. How many employees do you have today?
Oh, we're a little more than 10. We're actively hiring, so about 10 today, probably two more people in the next week. So we're slowly expanding. Hopefully, we should 3x that number in the next few months.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's great. You're on VC Task Force today. June is one of the most well-known individuals in Silicon Valley in the venture community. You talk June Riley and Joel, and people know him because many of the VCs belong to the VC Task Force or somehow involved. So, what are you looking for today? I mean, there are investors out there that listen. What are you actually looking for today in terms of the raise and you know, how much funding?
So we're in the process of starting our conversations for the next Series A round or pre-Series A. Essentially, that's to achieve scale. That's to achieve distribution. That's to achieve scale, expand the operations, and so on. So we're looking to raise, at least at this point in time, we're looking to raise about $1.5 million to $2 million to get to the US market. We're exploring Southeast Asian markets as well. And a little bit of activity in the European Union. So essentially to achieve distribution, to get the scale over the next 18 months, and to ensure that we are able to distribute as soon as possible, blitz scale, right? That's what we want to achieve. If we don't do it, someone else will.
Yeah, that's
And
true. I mean,
yeah,
and by the way, $1.5 million is a very small round. I've done 7 million as a seed round, right? A 3
oh
and
wow,
4.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah,
it's a small round in Silicon Valley, just FYI. I mean,
right,
you might want to think about it because if you look at
right, right,
the number of people you have and the kind of expansion, if you're
right,
trying to 3x what you're doing, the
right,
numbers need to make reflected, and it would be more than $1.5 million, right? Just off the top of my head.
right, right,
So
right.
I would look, you want to do that. And tell us
Absolutely.
a little bit about what Fabrik is doing today. And, so give us a snapshot. What's your 90-second elevator pitch?
Wow, nice. So Fabrik, like I said, is a no-code tool to build the metaverse. While we are primarily working with enterprises, helping them transition from manuals, documents, drawings into 3D first interface. Now, the reason is very straightforward, right? So you have field technicians, you have folks who deal with this lot of text heavy information that's really quite boring, and when, especially when they're working on critical tasks, they make mistakes. These mistakes are really expensive, especially when you're looking at complex assets and so on. So that's where Fabrik steps in, where we say, look, do not read these manuals. We have something much better. It's easy to understand, easy to see, easy to kind of interact with. Helps you do your job better, quicker, lesser errors. And so we believe 3D interface and the metaverse, as a broader consequence, is the way to go. So we work with customers in the auto sector. We work with folks in the aviation, energy, medical devices. It's a horizontal piece of technology that works across multiple sectors. So so we work with folks primarily European companies, some of them American as well. All of them have substantial presence in Bangalore. So we work with local teams here, and we are at the stage, like I said, where we're trying to get to that 4x, 5x kind of growth over the next 12 to 18 months. While this is something that I keep getting back. A lot of folks keep telling me go deeper into a specific sector, but I keep getting pulled into multiple sectors. So that's a challenge that we're grappling with, to figure out whether we want to go deeper in a sector and go wide later, or go wide and slowly go deep. And that's
one of the things, Puneet, what I would do, I've been in that dilemma before, right?
Yeah.
And so I've had that with a number of my companies. So here's what I've done. I would take 3 of them that are the top 3 sectors, and you want to develop those use cases and to be able to highlight those use cases. And all of a sudden, it's like a field of dreams, right? Build the field that will come. But you need to do that. And the problem you're solving, low code, no code. So audience out there, think about it. There's so many people that are involved in the entire chain in companies that know a lot. For instance, whether it's product marketing, whether it's the marketing folks, whether it's staff members and support, that could actually provide incredibly intelligent input, but they're not technical and they don't have the tools to be able to do it. What Puneet's doing is giving you the tools, this low code, no code environment. So somebody that is an expert in another area has the tools to be able to get this stuff done. And it's important because that's the way the world has changed today. It's about optimization. It's about using the talents in front of you. And as you said, Puneet, it's about dominating the world, right? And so you've got that. So in closing thoughts, we're coming up to the top of the show. Puneet, advice for other entrepreneurs that are out there, that are cross-border dealing globally, and also how can people reach you?
Oh yeah. So my one line advice that I keep following myself is just take the leap of faith. When you win some, you lose some, but when you win really big. If you don't take the leap of faith, you won't even get there. So just take the leap of faith, right? That's my advice to everyone, including myself, because for everything that we do, we need to take the leap of faith. People can reach me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the best way. My email is Puneet @Fabrik FABRIK.SPAC. LinkedIn, email. I generally respond within 24 to 48 hours. Happy to have conversations, explore synergies, and just looking forward to have good conversations at the end of the day.
No, that's great. Puneet, I want to thank you for coming on my show today. And I'd like to thank the entire VC Task Force team, June and Joel, for making Gary's Picks possible one more time. The world is changing. We need to be able to utilize the resources, democratize the opportunity to be able to make it more efficient and more effective. Puneet, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. Joel?
Yep. So thank you both, Gary and Puneet. Thank you, Puneet, for being our special guest today. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure our audience did. Your comments about even just reaching out to the metaverse and also the things you were saying about vertical versus horizontal. I mean, these are relevant to all startups, and that's what I love about. One of the things I love about this show is that even though we're interviewing individual companies, entrepreneurs, so much of the content is relevant to so many people in so many different spaces. So really enjoy that. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you back here on Gary's Picks in 2 weeks on the 24th. And until then, everybody stay safe and be well. Take care now.
Likewise.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Stay
Bye-bye.
safe.